Do you need to update your company's shareholder information, but don't know how? Keep watching to find out. Hi there, Chloe Zaytunian here from Rapid Formations, the UK's leading company formation agent. One of the responsibilities company directors have is to update shareholder information at Companies House when any such details change after incorporation. This includes the names of the shareholders and the number of shares they hold. This information is displayed on public record, so it must be accurate and up to date to comply with the disclosure requirements outlined in the Companies Act of 2006. Before we begin, let's remind ourselves of what shareholder information is reported to Companies House. It might seem a bit strange, but there's actually not a lot of information about a shareholder reported to Companies House. Normally, it is just their full name, together with the number and class of shares they hold. For the company's first shareholders, that is, the ones who were listed as shareholders on the company's incorporation documents, there is also the requirement to provide a service address. However, this is the only time any shareholder is required to provide an address to Companies House. All shareholders afterwards do not need to provide an address. So, how do you update shareholder information at Companies House? If the details of any shareholders change after company formation or a new shareholder joins the company, you must report this information to Companies House when you file your next annual confirmation statement. The confirmation statement will detail the updated names of the shareholders and basic details of their new shareholding, namely how many shares they hold. There is no requirement to deliver a confirmation statement before the annual filing deadline, unless you want to update shareholder information immediately. That being said, it is considered best practice to report changes to Companies House as soon as possible by filing an early confirmation statement, not least because anyone searching for your company, like banks or other third parties, will want to see the most up-to-date information about your company's ownership. So, updating shareholder information is pretty straightforward. Let's consider 3 frequently asked questions you might have about this topic. Firstly, do I need to tell Companies House if a shareholder changes address? Like we said earlier, shareholders do not actually report an address to Companies House. The sole exception to this rule is the first shareholders of a company, who are also called the subscribers. They must report a service address on the incorporation documents when the registration application is submitted to Companies House. However, after that, if a subscriber's address changes, there is no need to report these changes to Companies House, and new shareholders don't need to report an address at all. That being said, if a shareholder happens to also either be a director or a person with significant control, then they will have to separately report a service address to Companies House for their other positions. So if their address does change, they will need to go ahead and let Companies House know straight away. Again, though, this is by virtue of their other positions within the company, not in their position as a shareholder. Next, do I have to tell Companies House when a shareholder joins or leaves a company? If a shareholder decides to leave a company, for example, by transferring their shares to someone else, you must inform Companies House on the next annual confirmation statement. Where their shares have been transferred to someone else, you will normally need to state the date on which this transfer took place. The same can be said if a shareholder joins a company. That is, they're either issued shares directly or are transferred shares from an existing shareholder. When this happens, you must again provide Companies House with the name of the new shareholder together with the number of shares they now own on the next confirmation statement filing. Please note, if a shareholder receives their shares directly through a share allotment, you will also need to separately file the Form SH01, Return of Allotment of Shares, at Companies House within 1 month of the allotment taking place. That is a separate matter, not specifically relating to information about a shareholder submitted to Companies House. Finally, let's consider what happens if a shareholder dies. Exactly what happens to a shareholder's shares after they pass away will depend on a variety of factors, such as whether they have left a will, who the beneficiaries of the shares are to be, and whether the executors of the estate wish to enter themselves as the holders of the shares. Whatever happens, you'll need to make sure you update Companies House about any of these changes by including it on the next annual confirmation statement. This might include the reporting of the transfer to the ultimate beneficiaries of the shares, in which case the transfer would be recorded on the confirmation statement in the same way we discussed earlier. And there you have it, a quick guide to updating shareholder information at Companies House. It is important to keep Companies House updated to ensure your company remains compliant. Please remember, what we have discussed in this video concerns how to update information about a shareholder and their holdings. Whenever there are changes to share capital, more generally, there may be separate reporting requirements you need to submit to Companies House. If you need any assistance with the filing of your annual confirmation statement or any other company matter, Rapid Formation's team of experts are ready and waiting to assist. You can contact them by telephone on 020 3984 5385 or by live chat on the Rapid Formation's website. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section and we'll get straight back to you. In the meantime, we have included several useful links in the description below. Finally, be sure to subscribe to our channel to get more tips and advice on limited companies, reporting requirements, tax obligations, and more. We're always happy to help, and we can't wait to hear from you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.